Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy So What Day. I hope you're having a great start to your week and you're getting creative and you have something going at the sewing machine, all those good things. So, thanks for joining me today. This is So What with Sulky. This is where we come together to talk about what we're sewing. Put your questions and comments in the live chat, and I will be addressing those as we go on today. Only 1 week remains before we go live with our Sandhill Sling video cast. This is in partnership with the American Sewing Guild, but you do not have to be part of the American Sewing Guild in order to attend. That's right. You can come and join us and hear a little bit about what the American Sewing Guild is all about. But most importantly, we are going to be working our way through the Sandhill Sling pattern by Noodlehead Patterns. This is a super popular pattern. I'm seeing it everywhere. And I think, we talked about this last week, but one of the reasons I think it's so popular is because it lends itself to so many different possible embellishments. You can make this bag your own in so many different ways. This front area where this main pocket piece is, we're going to embellish it with machine embroidery. We're going to use sashiko stitching. We're going to do handwork. We're going to do decorative stitching. And we can even try our hand at free motion embroidery and or quilting. I mean, there's so many different things we're going to cover in this video cast, and I will be showing you full videos in real time and take you through my tips for the most challenging parts of the pattern as well. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's a great everyday bag, grab and go bag. It's really roomy and it just has the one strap. So the strap is fully adjustable. You can wear it on your back like a backpack. You can wear it like a messenger bag style by lengthening the strap. And you can tighten up the strap as much as you want, depending on where it's most comfortable for you to wear. It also features these really great decorative webbing straps that are super trendy, very popular, and so much easier because you don't have to sew your own strap. You just insert your webbing, into the pattern pieces and you're good to go. So it's a really, really great pattern that we're offering in 2 different colorways for the kits. We have our blackboard colorway, and we call it blackboard because this main fabric is a faux waxed canvas. So if you're familiar with waxed canvas, it's a canvas fabric that literally has a waxy coating on it. So the more you work with it, crumple it up, use it, the sort of crinklier it gets because that wax coating is kind of breaking up and moving around and making it have this really rugged, faux leathery type appearance to it. Well, with the faux waxed canvas, you don't have to deal with any of the wax. So it's a lot easier to sew. It'll come together just like using a canvas fabric, so really durable. And I'll give you all of my tips for managing bulk and handling all of the pockets and all kinds of things, inserting the lining. So you'll get that faux waxed canvas fabric. You also get a designer lining fabric that coordinates. You get the zipper that you need. We're going to be creating our own zippers from Zipper by the Yard. So I'm going to give you my tips for that as well, and adding decorative zipper pulls. You get the really cool webbing, a little bit of elastic for the interior pocket. You get a pack of organ needles. We're going to use top stitch needles for this because they're nice and strong, but still have a slim, sharp point to them. Great for this weight of fabric and great for the embroidery or the other sewing machine embellishment versions as well. So a really good all-purpose needle for this type of project. You get 2 thread spools. So with the blackboard colorway, you'll get a black poly deco thread that you'll use for the construction of the bag, and you get a poly sparkle 30 weight thread to use for the embellishment. And you can use that for machine embroidery or for the free motion version or for the decorative stitching version. And you can also use it for all of your top stitching if you want to add a little bit more glitz to that area too. You also get all the hardware that you need for your strap and 2 stabilizers. Somebody asked me about this last week. After our So What last week, I got a few questions. So the Tear Easy stabilizer is for the machine embroidery, but we're also going to use that if you choose to do decorative stitching instead of machine embroidery. So it's kind of dual purpose. And then the Soft and Sheer Extra stabilizer, we're going to use that as an interfacing for the bag to give it some really nice structure. So everything you need to create your sandhill sling is included in the kit. This is the blackboard version, and this is the earth colorway. So this obviously has a little more earthy flair to it. We've got our black faux waxed canvas, or excuse me, brown faux waxed canvas, and our brown zipper with antique hardware. Also a really pretty lining fabric, which the lining fabric might vary between boxes, but it's going to be a beautiful designer fabric. And then we've got a floral decorative strap, a floral webbing strap that brings all of those colors together, gives it a little more of a naturey vibe, and it coordinates with our flower zipper pull charms. And again, this has an antique colorway for the hardware, for the zipper, and the charms and all of that. And then for the thread for the earth colorway, you'll get a brown poly deco thread spool for the construction and a 30 weight cotton blendables thread for the embroidery or the embellishment of your choice. So both embellishment threads are a 30 weight thread. That means it's a little heavier weight than the 40 weight thread that we're using to construct the bag. So the 40 weight poly deco thread is going to sort of blend in to the fabrics, whereas our 30 weight blendables thread or 30 weight poly sparkle thread is going to like pop off of the surface and be really beautiful and noticeable. The blendables thread has all the colors that you see in the webbing in that thread. And it's randomly dyed every 2.5 to 5 inches across the thread length, so you don't get any repeating patterns with the embroidery design or the decorative stitching. If you wanted to do straight line quilting on your front pocket piece, you wouldn't get the same repeating color pattern across the pocket piece. It would be all randomized. It almost looks watercolory. It's a really, really cool thread. There's really no other thread like it out there. It's very different from variegated thread because variegated thread has these distinctive colored chunks across the length of the thread. So that's why you get, you know, especially if you do a fill stitch embroidery design using a variegated thread, you're going to have these distinctive blocks of colors within those fill stitches. Whereas with the blendables thread, it literally all blends together and it looks really, really neat. So I think you're going to enjoy working with either thread, depending on the colorway that you choose. You might just have to get both because they are on sale for an incredible deal up until the day that we do the video cast, which again is next Tuesday, May 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time over at sewingonline.sulky.com. I linked directly to registering for that event in the description of today's post. So if you don't see the whole description, they like to only give you a little blurb, a couple of sentences. And I've linked to everything I'm going to talk about today, including all the projects and threads we're going to talk about in a moment, right in the description of today's post. So make sure you click that See More button, and then the whole thing will pop out for you, and you can go shopping all those links, checking them out for more information when we're done chatting here today. All right, so let's see what else we have to talk about. Ooh, also, the hours, days, minutes are closing in on our Bali trip, which is happening in October. If you are interested in this, I highly suggest you head on over to the link I put in the description of today's post to check out this trip. This is in partnership with Craft Tours. This is going to be, let's see, my 5th tour with Craft Tours, I want to say. And dare I say each one is better than the last. I mean, they just keep getting better and better. We'll be going to a batik expo while we're on this Bali tour, we're going to learn how batik fabrics are made, and we're going to get to batik our own fabrics. So as you can tell, I'm pretty jazzed about this. I can't wait to learn all about it. And, you know, batik fabrics are so incredibly beautiful. So I'm excited to play around with that. We're also going to go to an elephant sanctuary. We're going to have like shopping time in this amazing village where everything is just so uber cheap. And we're going to come home with some really fantastic treasures. I'm going to be doing a sewing workshop while we're in Bali, hopefully incorporating that batik fabric that we get to make, but also some other fabrics that we will probably stumble on our journey. So this is going to be really fabric centric tour through Bali, but also, of course, not missing all the quintessential things that you want to see while you're there. So if this is, you know, piquing your interest, head on over to the Craft Tours website and find the Sulky Bali tour. You can also use the link that I put in the description of today's post to head right there and check it out. You can get on a payment plan with them, so it's a little bit more manageable as you head up to October as we depart, and just learn all about the itinerary. There's so many more things that are packed into these days. So I believe it's like an 8 or 9 day tour in Bali. So I would love to have you come along. And if you have any questions about craft tours, trips, you can contact us at info@sulky.com. You can also contact Craft Tours directly to talk to them about payment plans and other questions that you might have for them. So very exciting stuff. All right. So, you know, maybe you are planning some travels as the summer months are approaching. You know, I'm just trying to get through the end of the school year here. It's fast approaching. I can't believe how fast it's happening. But as we, you know, approach summer, there are so many great things to sew for the summer months and during the summer months. And one of my favorite holidays to sew for is July 4. You know, bringing out all the red, white, and blue. I love decorating for the 4th of July, and just, you know, I feel like summer in general is just kind of has a very patriotic feel to it. You know, we've got Memorial Day coming up, and just so many different, I guess, reasons to, you know, fly our flag and, you know, wear our red, white, and blue and all that good stuff. So today is kind of a patriotic palooza of sorts. You like that? Patriotic palooza. On So What, I'm going to be giving you some inspiration for July 4 sewing. And I'm going to kick it off with a brand new free project we have here at sulky.com. We have this beautiful quilt pattern that we are offering for free for a limited time on the website. So you can find the Stars and Stripes quilt at sulky.com, add it to your cart, go through the checkout process. It's going to say $0. Once you have gone through the checkout process and purchased this free pattern, it will then live in your sulky.com account as long as you have an account there. So you will always be able to access it there under your personal account, and you can download it, get all the instructions, and it'll take you through this really great quilt project. Also, what I like about this is this pattern in particular. It's designed by Ashley Huff. You might be familiar with her from the National Quilters Circle, National Sewing Circle. She also did a really fantastic mystery quilt event for us at sewingonline.sulky.com. You should check that out. It's an amazing quilt. It's no longer a mystery, but it is a phenomenal pattern. And what I like about her pattern style is you can take one of the blocks that's featured in the quilt and you can use it for so many other things. I mean, this is true for a lot of quilt patterns where, let's say, one of the quilt blocks catches your eye. Make only that block. Turn it into a table runner. Make a placemat out of it. Scale it down and make a little mug rug. You can scale it up and use one big quilt block as a throw or as a table topper. So there's so many different ways to interpret quilting patterns. But I just think she's, you know, she has this really great way of explaining, right, how to piece together the blocks. That's very accessible. It makes you really think like, oh man, I could do this. It's no big deal. So she really breaks it down into manageable parts so that you can tackle this quilt in no time, really. And what's also helpful is this quilt top is made out of a charm pack. Is a charm pack 10-inch square? We'll get to that in a moment. I start second guessing myself when I'm live streaming sometimes, even though I know these answers. I just get a little discombobulated when I'm talking so quickly. So at any rate, I'll try to slow down for everyone, including myself. But I wanted to bring to your attention just some things featured in this quilt. So here you can see it's composed basically of 2 different blocks, and the 2 blocks are just repeated over the quilt top. And then of course you will add your borders and your cornerstones to add color and interest and kind of frame out the blocks. But I love this fabric collection. And I have some good news for you out there. Here's another picture of the quilt, a little bit stylized, and so you can see it a little bit up close. But not only is this fabric currently available at sulky.com in pre-cuts so that you can go ahead and start creating. I will mention too, like the fabric is also paired with just a white fabric that does not come with the fabric available at sulky.com, but it's just a basic white fabric that you can purchase up on your own to use as your background and backing if you so choose. But we're featuring all the great red, white, and blue threads in the quilt design. So this, I just mentioned the 30-weight blendables for our Sandhill Sling project. This is a 30-weight blendable thread, and it's in red, white, and blues. And Ashley used this thread to quilt some of the portions of the Stars and Stripe quilt. I mean, it's couldn't be more perfect for this project. And then she also used our patriotic quilting thread sampler to not only piece together the quilt blocks, but she also used this 50-weight thread for some of the quilting. The quilting that she wanted to blend into the background, she used the 50-weight cotton thread. And then the quilting that she wanted to pop off of the surface to add more color and dimension and interest is the 30-weight blendables thread. So she used this great combo. And, you know, this is like $15 or something like that at sulky.com for 6 spools of thread. And you'll be using this thread throughout the summer months to create all of your patriotic projects and then some. It has some great neutrals in it, the blacks, the whites, the grays, and then of course your reds and blues. So this is a really great pack to grab up, you know, in anticipation of all the things that you're going to be creating for your patriotic projects and then some. Here's just a closer look at the, you know, overall threads in the pack. And actually, I think I misspoke. It's not a black thread spool. It's a dark navy that is in here. All right. So I mentioned that the fabric is now at sulky.com. Is this the most beautiful fabric? This is called the American Beauty Stacker. And this is now available at sulky.com because we could not have the pattern for this quilt and not let you grab up this fabric. I mean, it's so, I absolutely love it. It reminds me, you know, with a lot of patriotic projects, I like to incorporate denim. I don't know what it is. I guess denim just feels so American to me. You know, we're all in our denim jeans and denim jackets and all that good stuff. And it has this feel of like bandanas and denim and, you know, just all those floral prints kind of mixed in as well. So I just absolutely fell in love with this fabric that she used. And I was like, we have to be able to get this easily and grab up these great red, white, and blue threads that go along with it. So you can grab up this stacker at sulky.com. You can create your Stars and Stripes quilt using this stacker. And I also thought I would give you a couple more ideas for what to use these fabrics for as well. Of course, as I mentioned, you can use the Stars and Stripes free pattern. It's only going to be free for the month of May. So you do need to grab it up while you can before it goes up to regular price, and have it stored there in your sulky.com account, because really you can use these 2 blocks that are featured in the quilt for so many other projects. And certainly you can swap out the fabrics as well for different looks, different holidays. You know, some really fun summery prints would look really pretty in that quilt too. Another thing I wanted to mention about the quilts is, let me show you this larger photo of it, is the center blocks in the Friendship Star and the Star block really lend themselves well to machine embroidery or extra quilting or embellishment of some kind too. So I thought I would also show you our Uncle Sam machine embroidery collection, because I think it's just perfect for this quilt. And you can frame those embroidery designs inside of those star blocks, and just add a lot more embellishment if your heart desires. So we'll get into that momentarily. But back to our American Beauty fabric stacker. These fabrics are by Riley Blake. I mean, give us a thumbs up if you love Riley Blake as much as we do. I just love their fabrics so much. I remember back in the day when they were kind of starting on the scene, or at least when I started knowing about them, you know, everyone was really into Amy Butler fabrics and these big floral prints. And, you know, I'm trying to think of like cis boom fabrics, and these were like really, really popular. And Riley Blake kind of always had prints like that. And I found in my experience, people would be searching, convinced that the fabric that they were looking at was like an Amy Butler-esque fabric. And lo and behold, it was from Riley Blake. And I've used Riley Blake fabrics in so many different projects, and we put them in a lot of Sulky kits because they feature a lot of different designers, and they're just so aesthetically pleasing. I mean, man, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite fabric designer because, whew, I mean, that's like picking a favorite child. Just saying. All right. So American Beauty Stacker, you can find that at sulky.com. I thought it would also look great in our Patriotic Pinnacle Table Runner project. You can get more information about this project on the Sulky blog. This was an event that we did with the Crafty Gemini. Who out there is familiar with Vanessa Wilson, the Crafty Gemini? She is so great. She has the biggest YouTube following, does the best videos about, you know, her homestead and her life and sewing and, you know, helping seniors in her community. I mean, I don't think this woman ever sleeps. She's amazing. But she designed this project for Sulky many, many years back. I mean, 6 or 7 years ago. And it's still one of our most popular projects. In fact, I'll give you a sneak peek. I am going to resurrect this project with some fantastic fabrics and bring it to you in a couple more months. So we will be revisiting this in a little bit of a change up from the block arrangement that you see here. But again, that's what I love about quilty projects, is we can make them our own. We can swap things around, and all of a sudden it looks new and different. But here is a really, really popular patriotic themed project that I thought would look great with this American Beauty stacker. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of room for machine embroidery. And our Uncle Sam palette for machine embroidery, you know, as you may know, when we call it a palette, that means you're getting the embroidery designs with all the thread spools that are featured in the design collection. So with one purchase, you're getting the designs at an amazing low cost because we're bundling them with the thread. So we also feature this design collection separately on its own, but when you grab it up with the palette, you get all of these beautiful thread spools. You can see we've got some poly sparkle mixed in here too, because, you know, there's really no time like July 4 to bring out the sparkly thread. You know, some of the times we want to mimic fireworks, or we just really want to give it that glitz. And Poly Sparkle is really great for machine embroidery because it sews very similarly to Poly Deco or to rayon. It just has flecks of sparkle running through it rather than our original metallic or the sliver and hollow shimmer metallics, which are flat threads. Those require a little bit of machine modifications so that you can sew them and especially embroider them at high speeds and have success. The main thing with metallics is that when the thread is coming off of the spool, let's pretend this is a metallic thread, whether you have a vertical spool position or a horizontal spool position, when the thread is coming off the spool, it's twisting off, right? It's twisting like this off the spool. You might even feed it through a thread guide, but even so, it's still coming off in this spiral fashion, even if it's headed through a thread guide. When your spool is in the horizontal position, it's doing the same thing. See all those twists and turns? Well, with metallic thread, original metallic or our flat metallic threads, if it's twisting like that on its way to the needle through the thread path, especially in high-speed sewing like machine embroidery, all those twists and turns are going to add up and create undue tension. So you might start seeing bobbin thread, or the thread might just snap on you. And you might think to yourself, oh, something's wrong with this thread. Why does it keep breaking? I keep having to rethread it. What's happening? It really has nothing to do with the quality of the thread. It has everything to do with all those twists that are happening on the thread's way to the needle. So no amount of using a metallic needle, slowing your machine down. We want to do all those things anyway, but it's all those twists that we need to stop. So we have a great little tool that I always have right next to me at my sewing machine. It's called the Thread Director. We have, I will say there has been a bit of a manufacturing stall on the Thread Director. I'm just checking which one we have in stock right now. So we have the Thread Director 2 in stock at sulky.com. And the 2 just means that it can fit 2 spools of thread on either side. You don't have to use 2 spools at once, but you can store a spool up there, maybe your construction thread, and then maybe have your metallic thread on the other spool, or you can use a twin needle and use both at the same time. But the one I'm going to show you is the Thread Director 1. This one is only available as a bundle on the site right now. And that's just because there's a bit of a manufacturing delay on this one. So if you're looking for it, just grab up the Thread Director 2 and you'll have the same results. So what happens is, this is what the Thread Director looks like. Again, this is the Thread Director 1. Thread Director 2 is going to have a bar going all the way across where you can fit a thread spool here and a thread spool here. So I mentioned our vertical or horizontal spool position. When we put our Thread Director on the machine, now our spool is in a horizontal position, but it's coming off this way toward the needle instead of this way with the twists and turns. So it's coming off of the spool this way, remaining flat, no twists, no turns through the thread path. And you will be amazed at how many different specialty threads you can now sew, even at high speeds, because it's not twisting in through the needle eye. You can sew original metallics, flat metallics, cry reflective thread, glowy thread, threads that have a coating, all kinds of thread. It's even great for invisible thread. You can even, I know some people who never take it off their machine. They use it for rayon, poly deco, even cottons. They never take it off and they use it all the time. And it is much, much better than using a thread guide because in general, thread guides are not as close to your spool pin as this thread director would be. And it can attach on your vertical spool pin or your bobbin winder if you have a bobbin winder on top of your machine. And there's instructions for how to use it that come with the packaging. And there are, I would venture to say it fits every single machine brand, but you can read about it on the Sulky website as well and make sure that it's going to work for your setup and your machine. But it really is a game changer with these metallic and specialty threads. All that to say, the Poly Sparkle thread doesn't even really need a thread director. You could certainly use one, but because it performs so smoothly, so similarly to a polyester or a rayon thread, those twists don't all add up so much because there's only flecks of metallic running through it. It's not entirely metallic. Does that make sense? So it's really great for machine embroidery, for little accents you want to add here and there. It's also really great when you want a subtle sparkle. Maybe you don't want, in your face holographic hollow shimmer. You want just a little touch of sparkle on, the spokes of a bicycle wheel, let's say, things like that. So this palette, the Uncle Sam machine embroidery palette, comes with these 11 threads. 3 of them are poly sparkle, and the Uncle Sam collection itself, these designs feature the poly sparkle thread in little accent areas. So it's very important that when you're using these particular designs or any designs that have poly sparkle thread in them, make sure you are consulting that color sequence chart that comes with your design downloads, because poly sparkle is such a new thread that basically every digitizer on the planet does not have it loaded either into their digitizing software or into the machine brand. So even if we say this is a Sulky design and it features these 3 poly sparkle thread colors, and we manually put that into the digitizing software, to bring you the designs, the machine isn't going to read that thread because it's not built in to that brand's library of available threads. Does that make sense? So you're going to get to the poly sparkle thread changes, and it's going to automatically substitute it for something else. So you want to be really cognizant of that and consult that color sequence chart to make sure that you are using the poly sparkle thread when it's indicated within the design. All right, so just some close-ups of the designs featured in the Uncle Sam palette, which, by the way, I'm going to give away our Uncle Sam machine embroidery collection to one lucky viewer who is watching right now, who is commenting, who is somehow engaging with the post today. That's going to be our giveaway today, the Uncle Sam machine embroidery collection. I believe it's valued at like $36.99, something like this. So great prize for today. Make sure that you're putting your questions and comments in the live chat and somehow engaging with the post. That's all you have to do to be eligible to win today's gift from Sulky. All right, and some of the designs, or all of the designs featured in that collection, we have Team USA, and the letters for Team and USA are in the hoop appliques. It's a little hard to see in this example because we've used white fabric for the background and for the applique pieces, but all the lettering is done in the hoop, as in the hoop appliques. And a great idea is to use Sulky Felty for these appliques. If you've never tried Sulky Felty before, you're going to love it. It's really great for machine embroidery because it is manufactured to accept a lot of needle penetrations, a lot of needle holes, and accept a lot of thread without buckling or puckering, and it has a really nice soft feel to it. So this would make a really great garden flag, a really great wall hanging for the front door, even look really great on a sweatshirt with the Felty applique pieces. I love how it has this like university font, right? We're all Team USA. And as we get ready for Summer Olympics fun, things like that, this would be really great to make for, you know, a party, or again, just for your front door, maybe inside of a wreath, something like this. We also have this really, really cute firefly design. It's little fireflies captured in a mason jar, and the jar has really great silver thread. Really, really cute. And I'm going to show you some inspiration for projects utilizing these designs as well in a moment. There's quite a few projects on our blog that feature these designs. So a lot of inspiration right there at blog.sulky.com. Oh, here is our summer bicycle design. And again, you can use that poly sparkle maybe for the balloons. I can't remember what portion of the design the poly sparkle is used, but I know it's the spokes of the wheels. And we had to substitute just the rayon thread for those spokes. So you certainly could do that as well. Or substitute the poly sparkle for some little accents like the stars on the flags and whatnot. And then here's our red, white, and cute design. Absolutely love this one. It's great for a baby onesie, a kid t-shirt, all kinds of things. Here's our Uncle Sam hat design. And this also has in the hoop appliques 4 portions of the hat. So really, really great, very detailed design. And then we have our firework wreath design. This is a great design if you want to have a monogram in the center or another motif, or you could stitch this out on a mug rug and have the center, you know, put a vase of flowers in the center. Something like that would be really pretty with this design. And all of these designs come in 3 sizes. So when you purchase up the whole collection, you get all 6 designs in 3 sizes. So you get it for a 4x4 hoop, a 5x7 hoop, and a 6x10 or larger hoop. So all of those sizes come with. I hate it when I buy a design and it only comes in 1 size. Then I want to use it again for something else and I have to buy the bigger size. So we decided we're not doing that here. You can get all 3 sizes with the full collection. All right, so here is a little bit of project inspiration, but of course, for our Stars and Stripes quilts, this free pattern that's only available at sulky.com for the month of May. Then it goes up to $9.99. So definitely grab up your quilt pattern while it is free. But the center portions of these blocks would be really great for some of these designs as well. Here's a really cute bike bag that I made a while back. This project is on the Sulky blog, blog.sulky.com. And it features that really great bike design. So I don't know how many of you out there, maybe your neighborhood does a bike parade like mine does, but it's so fun to have the kids decorate their bikes with streamers and flags and all kinds of fun stuff. So I made this for my daughter so that she could have her teddy and her water bottle on her bike, and, you know, participate in the bike parade. Really cute lining fabric that coordinates and a really easy, quick and easy project. It just Velcros around the bike handles. So you can check that out on the Sulky blog. And this is our Uncle Sam table runner where I used that great Uncle Sam design. And then I did some different free motion quilting and different kind of wavy edge or wavy line quilting, and added some rickrack and all kinds of fun embellishments. So this is another project on the Sulky blog. But this center focal point of the table runner, you could use one of the blocks from that Stars and Stripes quilts as the center block, embroider something in the middle, and then add the additional fabric strips and quilting from this table runner tutorial. So kind of a mashup of all of these different things together. Okay, so here's the project I did with the fireflies design. So what I decided to do was add a vinyl fabric as sort of an in the hoop applique on top of the jar portion of this design. So it really looks like those fireflies are trapped, underneath the vinyl of this really cute design. And then you can see I did a full applique for the ribbon portion on the mason jar. And then I just used a purchase trim to trim that center embroidered area. And this is actually on a piece of denim. I was talking about using denim or even recycled jeans for patriotic projects. It just goes together so well. So it's a piece of denim. It kind of looks black because it was a very sunny day when I was photographing this, but it's actually a piece of denim, and then it has a lining fabric on the back of it, or a quilting cotton fabric on the back of it with another strip of like an accent strip on either side. So I really love how this pillow turned out. I love how the vinyl adds another texture, and it really just gives it a lot of personality. So you can get all the how-tos for this pillow project at the Sulky blog as well. So the red, white, and U design, I have the cutest project for it because this is my daughter quite a few years ago. She looks so tiny. I did the red, white, and cute design on a t-shirt. Very simple. Everybody loves machine embroidery on t-shirts. And last week I was talking about repurposing a t-shirt and turning it into a great graduation gift. If you happen to miss last week's So What, you can catch that episode on our YouTube channel. We have a So What playlist. So all of our past So What episodes are there on YouTube. You can also find them on Facebook, but it's a little bit harder to scroll, down and find all the episodes. On YouTube, we have a specific So What playlist, so you can find last week's episode if you happen to miss it. But I talked about creating this really great Hemingway pouch pattern using a well-loved t-shirt as the fabric. And what I did to stabilize the t-shirt, which was full of holes and imperfections and everything over the years of wear, was I used Sulky Tender Touch Stabilizer and applied it to the back of the t-shirt fabric, which really made it much more stable and allowed me to construct that pouch as if I was using a quilting cotton fabric. I alluded to using Tender Touch. The majority of the main reason why we use Tender Touch Stabilizer is actually to cover up the backside of embroidery and embellishments when we have already done the sewing. It's really called like a cover the back stabilizer. You'll see it a lot of times, especially on ready-to-wear t-shirts that have embroidery, even on like fleeces that have a little logo. You'll see it on the back of that. It's a very, very silky feeling stabilizer that's fusible, and you apply it to the back side of stitching, first off, to protect the wearer's skin against scratchy stitching. So very important for onesies, for things for little kids where they might get irritated by, the bobbin thread on the embellishment. But it also protects the stitches. So if you're going to embellish a pocket, let's say, and your hand's going in and out of it all the time, and you're using hand embroidery and maybe no lining, something like this, you can apply the Tender Touch Stabilizer after your embroidery is complete, fuse it according to the instructions on the stabilizer packaging, and it'll seal up all the stitches on the back side and last a lot longer. Even if you're adding a lining, you'll want to add that to certain items so that if it undergoes lots of washing and wear, you have that safeguard of all of your stitching being nice and sealed up. For t-shirts especially, I always add Tender Touch after embroidery is complete. Now, when I was talking about the Hemingway pattern from last week, we applied that Tender Touch before we did any sewing because we want to take out the stretch of that fabric because we wanted it to act like a quilting cotton fabric or even like a canvas. something more stable that wasn't going to stretch while we sewed it. But we also still wanted to retain the softness of that t-shirt. Tender Touch is extremely lightweight and again has that silky feel to it. So it does not interfere with the feel of the t-shirt. It doesn't make it all stiff like an interfacing would. Now, with this t-shirt project, I'm going to show you how we apply the Tender Touch after the embroidery is complete, because we still want to retain the stretch of a t-shirt that we're wearing. We don't want this bulletproof embroidery where we're walking around and this part, this square doesn't move with the rest of us. We want it to be nice and supple and silky feeling against our skin and not change the hand of the fabric. All right, so first off, hooping t-shirts. And this is just a general overview of this project because this is on the Sulky blog. And I believe I've presented this on the Sew What before as well, but it's such a great tutorial about t-shirts. And I had so many people ask about the Tender Touch after last week's Sew What. So I just thought I would reiterate it a little bit for you here. Plus it fits with our patriotic-palooza that we're having today. So very important when you're doing t-shirts is to get that placement perfect, because we've only got one t-shirt to work with, right? We mess it up, there it is. We got to make, lemons out of lemonade and somehow make our accident look like it was on purpose or whatever we need to do. So placement's very, a very important part. I like to just go ahead and mark my center cross marks right on the t-shirt. I might even have the wearer wear the t-shirt, and then I'll use a printed template of the design and put it, you can even spray the back of your template with a little bit of KK2000 and just start sticking it to the shirt. Reposition it, stick it where you want it. Once you get it to where you like it, you can take off the shirt and you can mark your center placement marks, your vertical and horizontal cross marks right onto the t-shirt. Use a removable fabric marker and mark it on there. You can even leave the template in place until you have your shirt hooped. That way there's no shifting and you're certain to get it right. So after we have that marked, we're going to use Sulky Sticky Plus Stabilizer for this t-shirt. Sticky Plus is a sticky backed self-adhesive stabilizer that tears away once your embroidery is complete. Now, there's a lot of different schools of thought about stabilizers to use for knits. Sometimes I will use Sticky Plus to have that tear away removal method. Sometimes I will use soft and sheer. Soft and sheer is not going to tear away. It's going to stay with the fabric for the rest of the t-shirt's life. And what's great about soft and sheer is when you cut it away, it remains an independent layer from the t-shirt. So your t-shirt is still going to have that stretch around the design, but your soft and sheer is stabilizing all the stitches on the back of the work. So even though your t-shirt is stretching around the design, your thread is not stretching with the t-shirt. Okay, so that's a cutaway version that I would have chosen for this shirt. However, this shirt is white. It is almost see-through, this shirt. I knew if I used that soft and sheer that I was going to have show through on the stabilizer because of the color of the shirt. So instead, I chose to use Sticky Plus, a tearaway stabilizer. And I was going to tear away the stabilizer and hope that my stitches were still nice and stable after my embroidery was complete. Now, when you're using a tearaway, your stitches are going over that tearaway and kind of trapping them underneath. So you still do have stabilizer that remains behind after you remove it using that tearaway fashion. So I thought it would be okay, and it still is. Even after a couple years of washing and wearing, my daughter has grown out of this shirt and I gifted it to somebody else and they're still wearing it and washing it and all of that. So it is standing up to, the test of time, thankfully. All right, so we're going to hoop the Sticky Plus stabilizer with the paper release sheet facing up. That's the gridded paper facing up. We're going to score the paper using our Sticky Plus slitting pen. If you have been watching So What and you don't have a slitting pen yet, today is the day. I thought I had it right next to me. Darn it. I use it so often. I move around with it and then chaos ensues. But at any rate, the Sticky Plus slitting pen, you might be familiar with this type of stabilizer for hoopless embroidery, which is essentially what we're doing here. Using a pin to score through this paper, you run the risk of scoring through the stabilizer as well. Then you slit through the stabilizer and it's no good. You've got to hoop up a new piece. You might have some waste. It can become tragic for the extra work involved. The Sticky Plus slitting pen has a very sharp point to it, but it's manufactured in a way that it only goes through that paper backing and does not slice through the stabilizer itself. I know, it's amazing. So many of you are saying, I have a slitting pen. I got one in a mystery box. I have a slitting pen. Couldn't resist. They're amazing. So score your paper backing, peel it away to reveal the adhesive, and then we're going to stick our shirt right side up over the sticky stabilizer, centering those marked lines with the markings on our inner hoop ring. Very important to make sure your inner hoop ring is right side up, oriented properly, so not upside down. If you cannot read the size of the hoop because it's upside down, then you need to turn it around if you are going to use those hoop markings as your placement guide. You might notice once you turn it around, your horizontal hoop markings are in a different place. So very important, if you are utilizing that inner hoop, make sure it's right side up, not upside down. Okay. So we're going to secure our shirt. Notice that my shirt is partially inside out. We have to embroider t-shirts in this sort of tunnel. That's the only way we can access the front of the shirt without embroidering the back of the shirt. So we kind of, turn it inside out a little bit, center our shirt front where we want it for perfect placement. And then we're going to leave the excess shirt just kind of hanging out there for the stitch out. Of course, we want to make sure it's away from the needle while our needle is doing all the work for us. So you might have to stop and start the design in different places based on where the hoop is moving and if you need to kind of shift that excess fabric of the shirt over a little bit so that it can continue to stitch. Then you can stop the machine when it moves again, shift your fabric over. So I just am always at the machine with an eagle eye so that I can stop it. I literally put my finger on the stop start button so that I can stop it at any time if my needle moves to a place where I have excess fabric. So you really want to be cognizant of that to make sure that you don't accidentally stitch over too many layers and, have a real mess on your hands. All right, so let's say we've embroidered the whole design and we've got to take our shirt out of the hoop and we're going to tear away the excess stabilizer. And now comes the star of the show, the Sulky Tender Touch. Again, this is a fusible permanent stabilizer, very, very soft against the skin. We're going to use it as a cover the back stabilizer to cover all those stitches on the t-shirt. And a really great tip for using Tender Touch in this way is to only cut the piece of Tender Touch just to the size of your design. And you also want to use pinking shears or a wavy edge scissor to cut the Tender Touch. Because when you fuse it when you have those jagged edges, it just has a better bond onto the t-shirt. And it also helps with any sort of show through that you might be worried that you might have, with the edge of the stabilizer. You don't want any shadowing, that type of thing, with like a blunt cut of your tender touch. So you'll put that with the fusible side facing the wrong side of your stitches, and just give it a low to medium temp iron very lightly. You always want to place your iron and then pick it up, move it, place your iron, pick it up, move it. You do not want to go back and forth because you don't want any of that fusible to kind of slip. So very important to do it that way as well. And after you have your tender touch attached, you can wear the t-shirt and you're good to go. What a cutie patootie. All right, so I just wanted to give you a general overview of embroidering the shirt using that red, white, and cute design from our Uncle Sam machine embroidery collection, which is our freebie for one lucky viewer who is watching, commenting, sharing, liking, giving me those great emojis. That's all you have to do to be automatically eligible to win today's little door prize for So What, which is our Uncle Sam machine embroidery collection. It is also available as a palette, which means all those designs in 3 sizes also come with all of the beautiful thread spools, including that poly sparkle thread. All right, so I hope you are inspired by all things patriotic today, especially our Stars and Stripes quilt, which is our freebie right now at sulky.com. That's right. After the end of May, it's going to go up to $9.99. So make sure that you grab up your free pattern, experiment with these really beautiful quilt blocks, and also check out the American Beauty Stacker at sulky.com, because these fabrics are not only good for that quilt and for a lot of the other projects that I showed you today, but they're going to take you through this whole summer sewing season, making all things patriotic and then some. I love these bandana inspired prints and these florals, and there's some plaid. I mean, it's just a really, really beautiful fabric collection. So you can find that at sulky.com. And while you're at it, you can grab up our patriotic 50-weight cotton quilting assortment of threads. We call this a quilting assortment, but really our 50-weight cotton is as close to all-purpose thread as it gets. You can use this for construction, for quilting, for decorative stitching. The 50-weight is a really great lightweight thread, but it's also very strong, long staple, 100% Egyptian cotton thread. I think you will find it far superior to others on the market. So check that out as well. And you'll be all set for all kinds of patriotic project inspiration as the coming months follow at Sulky and at blog.sulky.com. All right. Well, everyone, I hope you are registered for the Sandhill Sling videocast. Give me a thumbs up if you've already registered. Give me another thumbs up if you've already received your kit. This is happening next Tuesday, so we're 1 week away from our Sandhill Sling videocast in partnership with the American Sewing Guild. You're going to learn how to construct the Sandhill Sling pattern by Noodlehead with tips and tricks for the pattern. And you're also going to learn several embellishment options to use some beautiful threads and basically create your own fabric for the front of the Sandhill Sling. So be sure and join us next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't join us live, register anyway, grab up your freebies, and then once the live stream ends, you'll be able to access the video on demand at any time. All right, well, I'll see you next week for the Sandhill Sling videocast, and I'll also see you right here next week for another So What?